Another rough night last night. Had a lot of tech issues yesterday. So for our members, if you haven't contacted B yet, go ahead and contact B. Always try to give you guys the best information. Had a little issues getting you guys the information yesterday, but that shouldn't be a problem moving forward. Have a lot going on heading into the weekend. Nice little division matchups, some rivalry matchups. Today's the first NFL preseason game. We don't really cover NFL preseason at all, but for any of you guys who are betting it, best of luck. NFL is around the corner. Not a better time to become a member. Get all the information of baseball, NFL, and basketball when it's going for the same price. John, weird day yesterday. How about them Cubbies twice in a row? I mean, Reds are putting up runs for us, just the pitching staff not getting it done.
So, yeah, it's more than just now the last 2 days. I mean, the last 2 days were absolutely ridiculous, torching the Reds, but now 10-2 their last 12, batting .314 over those last 12. So, yeah, the last two have been phenomenal, but it's over a 12-game span now. This team's hitting .314, and how about Candelario fitting in like a glove, 4 hits in each of his first 2 games. I don't know, maybe a new favorite to win that Central, Milwaukee. Just Devin Williams letting another one go last night. A game that got to beat the worst home team in the National League, the Nationals. You got a lead going to the ninth in an absolute must game. And they drop their 5th of the last 6 games now, Brewers. And they just can't hit. Our total opposite with the Cubbies. Reds who are just doing all the hitting. The Cubs just may have a little bit of edge now with the pitching. Taliono's going today, starting to figure it out now. He was horrible all year. By the other measure, the opposite measure, Stroman, who was great, actually led the league with 15 quality starts at one point. Just been put on the IL. He's been horrible since that beatdown he took in London. But Ed and Hendricks steal what he's been able to do, and Cubs might have the best staff along with the best hitting, and maybe they did the right thing at the trade deadline. Let's see what the Cubbies got. Big series after today at home. Atlanta, Cubs, 2 hottest teams, 2 most powerful teams right now in the National League going at it. For a weekend series. That's a day game at Wrigley tomorrow. And just a note, we won't be doing the podcast. Both me and Ben both have travel plans tomorrow. So this will be our last podcast until Monday. So best thing you guys could do, how to beat the bookie, become a member over the weekend.
Yeah, make sure you guys go check that out. Yeah, the Cubbies right now, 3 games back in the division, 2.5 in the wild card. DraftKings currently has them plus 220 to make the playoffs. If anyone's looking at a future there, they get it done with the bats. And like you said, same thing with Cincinnati. And we have a nice little slate to get to today, John. Day games. Yesterday, guys, podcast was up a little bit later than usual. Hopefully we can get this one up to you guys a little bit quicker.
Our apologies. Yesterday was a disaster, podcast-wise, everything-wise. And we actually may hold off with the podcast on these early day games because it kind of messed everything up going along. There's so much information coming to day games. That's why we don't do it on the weekends. Tough to do everything, get the podcast going. There were issues that we had, tech issues. Some were related, I don't know, B, our tech person, customer relations, everything person. She said something about Google something. I'm not the tech guy. There was some kind of meltdown. But anyway, so we'll see how that goes going forward. That's why it's impossible on the weekend. Just too many day games to shoot the podcast, to get what we got to go. We just didn't recognize what else was going on. But as today, there's a 12 o'clock game, Ben. That's the Philly Marlin game, which is a big game. Both teams going after it. Here's another game. Philly let it slip away last night. They let the Marlins tie it in the ninth, take a 2-run lead in the 10th. Marlins go back and tie it in the 10th. But this is an early game. I've got nobody in the game. Lorenzen will make his Philly debut. Johnny Cueto, I think he's 47 years old, going to make his 3rd start for the Marlins. This will be a tough one. Real Muto back in the game for Philly. We laid off this one, but again, this game will be started before you guys even see it, before we get the podcast up.
Yeah, interesting to see how Lorenzen fits in there. Very similar to their move last year at the deadline. Got Syndergaard. They got a good arm, not a great arm. We'll see how it pans out for them going down the stretch. Then we have that NL West matchup, Arizona at San Francisco. Giants get the dub last night. They've won 4-6 in San Francisco this year. Pretty gross pitching matchup. Going to be Fat versus Alexander. Fat's last 2 starts, 6 runs, 4 homers, 11 2/3. That was against Seattle and Cincy. Did hold the Giants to 1 run back in May. And then Alexander is going to be an opener here. He's been pretty solid as an opener. We'll see how he goes. Giants going down. They're right there with Tampa Bay as far as most bullpen games this season. It's Campback, Arizona. 3-10 their last 13. Bats have fallen off. They're scoring 2.25 runs per game their last 4. San Francisco's not doing much more with the bats. They're hitting just 119 or 199. Sorry, Arizona's hitting just 199. This is 2 teams' offenses are getting it done. Pitching edge, even though it's a bullpen game, I still give the San Fran bullpen an edge over Fat. So Campback, Arizona. Price would say that's the size. Stand away from this one, John.
Yeah, this was Arizona. They're the falling knife. 3-10 their last 13. Arizona has not scored more than 4 runs in any of their last 6 games. San Fran, although 6-2 on this homestand, 8-2 their last 10 home games. They're scoring just 3.75 runs per game this homestand, and they've scored more than 4 runs only once in the last 14 games. So disgusting pitching matchup, as Ben said, but I don't know for you total guys. Neither of these teams are scoring any runs. Maybe today they get like 15 between them. Just neither team scoring any runs. Arizona playing terrible. I don't make the number that high as it was the opener, which was the opener in this game. That was the wrong number. Was 135. Takeback was 1 plus 125. The sharps are on the short. The game is now down around 115, but just couldn't pull the trigger on Arizona. Low-scoring game, 2 low-scoring teams, and a tough pitching matchup. Both teams going for it, just don't want to pull the trigger on the Diamondbacks.
And Pirates at Milwaukee. Milwaukee, just another tough loss last night against Washington. They give up 2 in the 9th. Can't be happening. They've now dropped 5 of 6. Pirates, they lose yesterday to Detroit. Snaps a little 3-game win streak they had cooking up. Keller versus Hauser. Hauser crushed last time out versus Atlanta. Prior to that, did have a quality start versus the Braves. So getting seen by the Braves twice in a row is never a good thing. Can't hold that last start over his head too strongly. 2 outs versus the Pirates last year, 3 runs and 4 to third. Keller's been miserable. I mean, after a great start to the season, 0-4, 6.28 throughout July. Wasn't good against the Brewers back in June. Can't be backing him here in this spot. Don't want any part of the Brewers. They're ice cold right now. These are games they need to win, and they're not winning. So with that would be a slight lean here to Pittsburgh. Keller's just been miserable. With the pitching matchup, would suggest a little bit to the over, but neither team's really lining it up offensively. This is just a weird game all around. Would be Pirates or nobody, but this game means too much to the Brewers. Said that yesterday. Didn't matter. They didn't pull it out.
Yeah, man, they can't let that one go yesterday. Williams, he'd blown a couple other saves early this year, 2-run saves that we were on. We had no part of that one yesterday. Excuse me. But, yeah, hey, that was a game they've got to win. Now they've dropped 5 of 6. Only thing is here is the Pirates, their chicken soup. They've beat them 5 of 6 meetings this year. All 3 in Milwaukee. Good history against them. The number may be a little bit high, believe it or not, because of the pitching matchup. Keller, decent start. His last time out, as Ben said, how's the last 2 starts against Atlanta? The best hitting team in baseball right now is Atlanta. I guess maybe unless you want to say the Cubs, who got 36 runs in the last 2 days. So that's a little tough. Tough game here. Don't see a reason to bet Pittsburgh. Milwaukee does need this game to get right, but I'll stay off this game also.
Then we have Cincy at Chicago. You guys know the story with the Cubs the last 2 days. 36 runs off 36 hits, getting it done with the bat. Cincy's been putting up runs as well, just can't keep up. Weaver versus Tejon. Tejon's been terrific lately. For the last 4 starts, 3-0, 1.78. And Weaver, he's been batting practice for the last 2 months, but last time out had a quality start, 3 runs, 1 earned against the Dodgers. Still had a +6 ERA in July. This game is over or nothing. I can't back Tejon at this big of a price. Can't back the Reds right now. Cubs are too hot. Last 2 meetings go over. Weaver, I believe it is 9 of his last 11 starts have gone over. It's worth a look here in this matchup. I want the road dog here with Cincinnati. Just can't get away with this Cubs offense. Yeah,
as Ben said, Reds are putting up runs, but Cubs are putting up touchdowns. They're just crazy right now. On fire, this team hitting a 3-0 lead Reds had last night. And that's about all she wrote. Cubbies went absolutely crazy. Tejon, like I said earlier, can this guy figure it out? man, Cubs would be in pretty good shape. And right now in his last three, looks like he has 3-0 with a 1.78 ERA. This number is high, way too high. So you got to give Cincy a little respect, but they're on fire. You don't want to go into a buzzsaw. And right now, the Cubbies hitting is a buzzsaw. Taillon pitching great. I'll stay away from this game, even though the numbers suggest bet the Reds.
Then it's White Sox at Texas. Texas bats finally wake up last night. They've now won 8 of the last 10 meetings. They popped for 11 runs after scoring just 6 in their prior 4 games. Chicago, they scored 1 run in their last 3. They're 2-9 in their last 11. Can't back it. And we get another debut today. Max Scherzer making the Ranger debut. We'll see how that goes. Was a little bit rough in July, 2-2, 4.35 ERA. He has been solid at home this year. We'll see if that carries on over into Texas. And then Tucson coming off 5 shutout innings versus the Guardians. Pitching edge has to go to Scherzer here. Not ideal for, your first start to back a pitcher fresh off the trade deadline. So I don't love Texas in this spot. Really big price, but can't knock anyone betting the Rangers on the run line today. The Rangers run line are nothing for me. I have no interest in this White Sox team. 1 run in 3 games. They were the biggest sellers at the deadline, and they're just counting their ways till the end of September so they can call it a season.
Yeah, 1 run in the last 3 games. Scherzer making his Texas debut. Everybody, sharps, squares, everybody is on Texas. This line opened 240 on the opener overnight. It is now 280. I'm not laying that number, but I still leave it at that big. You can take back 250 in some spots. Still not interesting me with Chicago. A dead team. They've given up 1 run, like I said, in the last 3 games. Gave away half their bullpen. They're starting Tucson. They also half their bullpen and part of their starting staff. Lynn and Giolito don't want no part of this White Sox team. Texas just a half a game in front of Houston. They know every game is important. They got Seager back last night. Boom, what's he do? Hits a home run in his first game back. I like Texas today, but I'm obviously not laying that gigantic number.
Then it's Orioles at Toronto. Jays get it done last night, but O's have won 7 of 9 meetings this year, 5 of 6 in Toronto. You guys know the story with them being the AL best road team. And then Jays snapped their little 3-game skid. Flaherty versus Gausman. Gausman, last time out, quality start versus the Angels, pretty solid. Before that, 4 runs against Seattle. Had a good outing against Baltimore earlier this year, but went 1-1, 7.0 ERA versus them last year. Flaherty, another pitcher making his debut. Don't love backing it, but for a guy like him who was with Cardinals several years, very competitive in the playoffs, and this year is a complete train wreck team. Now you're going to one of the top teams in baseball. Sometimes situation like that flips you around. We'll see if that's the case for him. 5 shutout innings versus the Jays back in April. See if there's any carryover there. Just a massive prize for the Orioles who own this matchup. So much road success. Yes, Jays get the win last night. Only 4 runs. Weren't lighting it up with the bats. This game to me is O's or nobody.
Absolutely. O's, they just get no respect. This thing, I got to call them the Rodney Dangerfield of baseball right now. Best record in the American League. Best road record in the American League. Flaherty, a decent pitcher, fits right in with that Gibson and Creamer type pitcher. Guzman's been good, but far from lights out. Toronto, this homestand, 3-3, scoring just 3.5 runs per game, hitting 200, and they without their top hitter, Bichette, put on the IL. Big number. Got to take the Orioles in this one.
Then Houston at the Yankees. Houston owns this matchup, winning 9 of the last 10. They swept them in the ALCS last year. A little bit of a playoff revenge. Just don't know if it matters. The Yankees not really getting it done with the bats. They put up 7 runs yesterday, get the win against Tampa, snaps a 3-game losing streak. Houston, they went 6-3 on the homestand, and it's going to be Javier versus Schmidt. Javier, last couple of starts, he had 2 starts ago, he had 6 walks. Last time out, 2 walks, but 3 hit batters, just a little bit all over the place. Is coming off that quality start versus Tampa Bay, 3 runs in 6 innings. And then you have ownership over the Yankees. I mean, 2-0, 0.52 ERA and 3 starts versus them last year. Dominant. Schmidt, he's been good. I mean, not great, but 5-0, 4.55 ERA his last 6 starts. Very average at best. 3 runs in 5 innings versus Baltimore. He's not lighting them teams up, but he's keeping the Yankees in the game. So enough to get the job done. Don't know if it's going to be enough to get it done against Houston, who just loves beating up on this Yankees team. This game's Astros or nobody. Yes, there's playoff revenge, but pitching ownership, team ownership, Yankees really bats cold off right now. This would be Houston or nobody.
Yeah. as Ben said, Houston has literally owned the matchup. They swept them, so it's a little playoff revenge. I don't like to say playoff revenge when one team has owned the other. And Javier has just been fantastic against the Yankees. Yankees showed a little bit of life yesterday with the bats. Are they coming back? We'll see. Judge goes 1 for 4 yesterday. Every game's a must game for the Yankees. They're trailing the pack of legitimate wild card contenders. Astros a half game back of Texas, as we said. Tough game right here. Tough number. I've got no bet in this one. I lean to the Yankees. Just can't make that bet against Javier, who's pitched well against them, very well against them, and the Astros, who've basically owned them. I'll stay off this one.
It's Mariners at Angels. Mariners get the win against Boston. They've won 6 of 8, playing good ball right now. Angels return from a trip, get beat up by Atlanta, still 7-3 their last 10 home games. This matchup's pretty interesting. You have Seattle right now, who's a half game ahead of the Angels in the wild card race. Seattle's 3.5 games back, Angels 4 games back, and two teams kind of went about the deadline very differently. Seattle sold a little bit. Angels clearly bought as much as they could. Ohtani versus Wu today. Wu, brutal July, 0-2, 8.16 his last 3 starts. Did have a decent outing against the Angels earlier this season. And Ohtani, he was having a brutal July, then just comes up with a 1-hit complete game shutout. That was his longest outing of his career. We'll see if maybe there's any kind of a letdown factor from that, maybe an exhaustion factor, especially with a guy who's going to go and, in the lineup the next day afterwards. So we'll see if there's any carryover there. But looks like Ohtani might have flipped a switch a little bit. Just two teams in a very similar spot standing-wise, but it looks like they're approaching the back end of the season a lot differently. This is a must-win game for the Angels. Ace on the mound. You bought up the deadline. Need to get it done. Will be Angels or nothing.
Yeah, Angels really got to get it done. As far as how does Ohtani come into this game after that long outing? If you remember, right after that long outing, he played the second game of doubleheader and hit 2 home runs. So we'll see what he's got in store for the Mariners. He was absolutely dominant over the Mariners last year, 2-0, 0.95 ERA. Mariners playing good ball, but they sold. They got rid of their closer at the deadline. Seattle now, so they've won 6 of their last 8, scoring 5.6 runs per game. Very good. They're 9-4 their last 13 road games, playing well. This is a fair number, though. Wu, pitching terrible. Ohtani looks to have turned it around after a couple of tough outings, a dominant performance. But again, that was against the Detroit Tigers. We'll see how he does here. I think the number's right. No edge on this game.
Mets at Kansas City. Kansas City as a favorite. Didn't think I'd be liking it at all this season. I like it in this spot. Carrasco versus Singer. Carrasco, brutal last 3 starts, 14.47 ERA. Singer's been very solid, 4 runs in 11 innings last 2 times out, 19 Ks, 3 walks. He's got better numbers at home. Mets cold. They sold at the deadline. They took the dog out back, shot him in the head, put him to sleep. Meanwhile, Kansas City, they've won 5 straight, scoring 6 runs per game, hitting over 300, playing their best ball of the season. Give me KC with their ace on the mound against Carrasco, who's been batting practice. Didn't think I'd be looking to be landing KC as a favorite, but they're red hot. Why ignore it?
Did you guys hear what Ben said? Carrasco, 14.47 ERA. 3 starts since the All-Star break in our preview. That's basically all we put. He's been awful with those stats. Singer better. He's a better pitcher. KC playing their best ball of the entire year. Mets have given up. I mean, we talked about how they hung tough those first 4 games against the Nationals at Citi Field. They're just a terrible road team. One of the worst road teams in baseball. They're on the road right now, and they're just getting – they lose the opener of the series, a walk-off balk. Then they come back and get blanked last night. Casey or nobody.
Question, John, do the Royals match the A's long 7-game win streak of the season? 2 worst teams in baseball, each put in a good stretch.
Robert for White Sox this afternoon. So another reason you do not want to bet the White Sox. Just getting that info now, guys, as we're talking. I'm sorry, Ben. What was that question?
Question was, you had Oakland, who won 7 straight earlier this year. 2 worst teams in baseball. Does Kansas City match their 7 straight? They get Philly next if they get their 6 tonight.
First, they got to get 6. Look, they're no lock to get them. KC's still a real bad team. They're just in the middle of a hot streak right now. While I really believe the Mets have given up, So give them a little edge. I don't think they're going to get 7. To get 2 in a row, they got to be a big underdog to get it. So I'll take the chalk and say no, they don't.
Then we have Twins at St. Louis. You have Cardinals get the win last night. Twins, just like Milwaukee right now. It's up to these Central teams not wanting to win their division. They've dropped 6 of 7, still leading the Central because Guardians aren't playing any better. It's Gray versus Liberatore. Liberatore had a lot of expectations when he got called up last year. It was a little bit shaky, and they have just misused him all over the place this season. Earlier in July, made a start in the first week. Then they used him on 3 days rest. He got lit up on those 2 outings. 7 runs, 12 hits, and 4 2/3. Wasn't any better in AAA. 6 ERA in the last 3 starts. Pitching edge goes to Gray. He's coming off 2 quality starts in 12 innings. St. Louis, though. So Liberatore, been a spot starter most of the year. Probably going to be in the rotation now after trading Montgomery, trading Flaherty. He's probably going to be a key guy in this rotation moving forward from down the stretch of the season. We'll see how that pans out for him. Twins need it. They need this game. You can't get it done right now. You have Gray on the mound. This is Twins or nothing just based off that alone. But much like Milwaukee, as much as they need these games, it doesn't seem like they want these games. I'm staying away from it. Can't lay the Twins as a favorite. They're playing miserable.
Yeah, absolutely. Not like that, but they hit just .219 versus left-handed pitching this year. Buxton, he was a late scratch last night. He leads the team with home runs. He's questionable tonight. As bad as they've been, and they've been bad, Minnesota, now losing 6 of 7. It's also the final game of this trip. Cleveland's basically given up also. So this is a winning by default. St. Louis, also sellers at the deadline, but kept their 2 best hitters, Goldschmidt, Arenado. So they still got those guys in the lineup. What Gray does, he just doesn't give up the long ball. 4 home runs all year. And then that's what keeps him in the games. That's what keeps that ERA low. But he's not the same pitcher that he was. He's got off to a great start. Hit a little rough patch. He's been better the last couple. But the last couple are against the White Sox and the Royals. So take that with a grain of salt also. The number's right at the right number right now. I'll be staying off this one.
Then Oakland at LA. Last game on the card. Sears versus Urias. Dodgers, they get it done last night. Won the first 2 of the series by combined 17-4. A's have dropped 3 straight. LA's playing decent right now. Just 4-4 on the homestand, but they're getting their chicken soup in Oakland to turn this homestand around. Urias, a little bit better lately. 3 of the last 4 starts are quality starts. Last time out, 3 runs in 6 innings versus Toronto. And he's just been much better at home. 5-1, 2.47 ERA. Sears, very good in July. 1-1, 3.07. Last time out, 1 run in 5 innings. Sears, a guy you can back here for Oakland. Maybe every once in a while he'll steal a game for you. Just can't do it against the Dodgers. Dodgers really need these. You got to beat up on Oakland. They've absolutely slaughtered them in the first 2 games. I don't expect that to stop here in the 3rd game. Would lean to the over a little bit in this matchup, just in the fact Dodgers putting up runs. Wouldn't be surprised if Urias gets banged around a little bit. Just can't back Oakland in this matchup.
I want to back Oakland. I just can't do it. They've been beat up 17-4 combined in the first 2 games. Sears, good pitcher, good July. Dodgers just .237 this year off left-handed pitches. J.D. Martinez missed the last few games, questionable again today. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe somebody else gets a little rest. Long series now going to San Diego, weekend series. Dodgers go to San Diego after this one, so maybe give somebody else some rest. We'll be on top of those lineups. Does Freeman get a day off against the lefty? Muncy probably gets a day off. We'll be looking for the lineups. I hate to say this, Oakland or nobody. Definitely not the Dodgers at this number. That doesn't mean we're on Oakland. We'll look to see what the lineups are, and the line is that's a 10 o'clock Eastern start tonight.
We'll see where that goes with those lineups. As you guys know, we will be updating that on the How to Beat the Bookie site, updating lineups, any pitching changes, anything that comes our way. If you guys aren't already, go check that out, howtobeatthebookie.com, or download the How to Beat the Bookie app. We will not be here tomorrow, like John mentioned before. So if you guys want all this information throughout the weekend, even just more so a reason to go sign up and become a member so you can get this info throughout the weekend. John, a little bit of a shaky week, weird day yesterday, tech issues, everything else. But hopefully we can wash our hands with this Thursday card and head into the weekend with a fresh slate of games.
They got off to a great start Monday. Last 2 days gave all those profits back. We're back to square one. I've got 1 bet so far today. We'll have to see if anything else materializes. We got the weekend coming. As Ben said, I don't mess around with preseason football. We're in baseball till the end. We'll get back on the right track. This is what I do. We'll get with value, stick with the value. You know, Ben put up our record. I believe he said it was 38-52 for, it July?
Yep, that's correct.
Something percent. And everybody's like, you're horrible. We still managed a plus over 7 units, was it, for the month? Something like that. I know. It's so much more fun to watch a guy that's hitting 60%. But when he's laying 200 every game, he's a loser. So the last couple of days, you have all the fake cappers on Instagram telling the world how great they are. Well, favorites 22-8 over the last couple of days. So unless you're an idiot, you have to win. I guess I'm the idiot taking the dogs. We'll grind. At the end of the year, we'll be there. It's not every day. We're going to hit our rough patches. Favorites win a little bit. At the end of the year, we'll be there, and I expect to be there. No better time to join than now. We'll get them between now and the end of the year. I can tell you that.
And you guys know where to go for that. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Like, subscribe, comment below. Let's make some money, John.
Let's make some money. We'll see you guys Monday.